You are living in the past right now. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. Every single thing you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell happened in the past. Your entire experience of the present moment is actually a carefully constructed memory of events that already occurred. The universe you think you are observing right now does not exist anymore. It moved on without you. And Richard Feynman proved this mathematically decades ago. This is not philosophy. This is not speculation. This is measurable, testable, verifiable physics. And once you understand it, your entire perception of reality will never be the same. You think you are reading these words right now in the present moment, but you are not. You are experiencing a delayed playback of photons that left your screen milliseconds ago. By the time your brain processes what you think you are seeing right now, the present moment has already moved forward. You are perpetually chasing something you can never catch. Let me prove it to you. Right now, snap your fingers. Go ahead, actually do it. Just heard that sound, right? You think you heard it instantly, the moment it happened, but you did not. Sound travels at approximately 343 meters per second through air. That means if you held your hand 1 meter away from your ear when you snapped, the sound took roughly 3 milliseconds to reach you, 3,000ths of a second. Your brain experienced the past, not the present. You might say 3 milliseconds does not matter. That is basically instantaneous. But here is where it gets genuinely disturbing. Light is much faster than sound. Light travels at roughly 300,000 kilometers per second. So fast that for most everyday experiences, we treat it as instantaneous. But it is not instantaneous. Nothing is instantaneous, not even light. When you look at something across the room, you are seeing where it was a few nanoseconds ago. When you look at the moon, you are seeing where it was 1.3 seconds ago. When you look at the sun, you are seeing where it was 8.3 minutes ago. The sun could have exploded 7 minutes ago, and you would have no way of knowing. You would still see it shining peacefully in the sky. You would still feel its warmth on your skin. You would continue living your life completely unaware that in roughly 90 seconds, darkness would arrive and never leave. You are always living in the past of everything you observe. Always. Without exception. But it gets worse. Much worse. Because the delay is not just about light travel time. The delay exists inside your own skull. Your brain is not a perfect instant processor. Your brain is a biological machine made of meat and electricity, and it takes time to process information, significant time, measurable time. When photons hit your retina, they trigger a chemical cascade. Rhodopsin molecules in your rod and cone cells break apart. This generates electrical signals that travel down your optic nerve at speeds between 100 and 250 miles per hour. That might sound fast, but it is incredibly slow compared to the speed of light. The signal from your eye to your visual cortex takes roughly 20 to 40 milliseconds. Then your brain has to process that raw data. It has to extract edges, recognize patterns, identify objects, assign meaning, integrate with memory, and construct what you experience as vision. The entire process takes between 80 and 150 milliseconds from photon impact to conscious awareness. That is between 0.08 and 0.15 seconds. You are living roughly 1/10 of a second behind reality at all times. 1/10 of a second might not sound like much, but think about what that means. When you watch a baseball flying towards you, you are seeing where it was 1/10 of a second ago. When you have a conversation with someone, you are hearing their words from the past. When you think you are reacting to something happening right now, you are actually reacting to something that finished happening before you even became aware it started. Your brain lies to you constantly to hide this delay. It backdates your experiences. It creates the illusion that you are perceiving things the instant they happen, but you are not. You never have been. You have spent your entire life living in a carefully edited, delayed broadcast that your brain pretends is live. Feynman understood this deeply. He understood that the present moment we think we experience is actually a constructed narrative our brains create by stitching together information from the recent past. But here is the truly mind-breaking part. The delay is different for different senses. Sound takes longer to process than vision. Touch takes even longer. Your brain receives information from your senses at different times, traveling at different speeds, processed by different neural pathways with different delays, and yet somehow you experience everything as synchronized. You see someone clap their hands and hear the sound at the exact same moment. But that is impossible. The light from their hands and the sound from the clap arrived at different times and were processed at different speeds. Your brain is editing reality in real time. It is holding back the faster signals and waiting for the slower ones to arrive so it can present everything to your consciousness as a unified, synchronized experience. Your brain is lying about when things happened to maintain the illusion that you live in a coherent present moment. You do not live in the present. You live in your brain's best guess about what the recent past probably looked like. Now let me show you how this gets even stranger when we bring in relativity. Everything I just told you about living in the past assumes we all at least agree on the order of events. You see the sun explode 1/10 of a second after it actually happened. I see the sun explode 1/10 of a second after it actually happened. We are both delayed, but at least we are delayed by the same amount. At least we agree on what happened when. But Einstein and Feynman showed us that even that assumption is wrong. The order of events depends on how fast you are moving. What you consider past, present, and future depends entirely on your velocity through space. This is not philosophical interpretation. This is mathematical fact built into the structure of space-time itself. Imagine you are standing still, watching a distant supernova explode. From your perspective, the star exploded, and then 8 minutes later, the light reached you. Clear sequence, clear causality. Now imagine your friend is flying past you in a spaceship at 80% the speed of light. From their perspective, the timing is completely different. Due to time dilation and relativity of simultaneity, events that you consider to be happening right now are in your friend's past or future, depending on which direction they are traveling. If they are flying toward the supernova, they will see it explode sooner than you do. Not because the light reaches them faster, though, that is also true, but because their definition of now slices through space-time at a different angle than yours. If they are flying away from the supernova, they will see it explode later than you do. And here is the disturbing part. While you watch the supernova explode in what you call the present moment, from your friend's perspective, that explosion might still be in the future. It has not happened yet in their reference frame. You are watching something that from their perspective has not occurred. You are living in their future. They are living in your past. And you are both correct. There is no universal now that everyone agrees on. The present moment is not a single slice of time cutting through the entire universe simultaneously. The present moment is relative. It depends on your motion. Feynman spent years working on quantum electrodynamics, and one of the fundamental insights that came from that work was understanding that causality itself is more flexible than we intuitively believe. Events do not happen in a single universal order. They happen in different orders depending on your frame of reference. As long as cause and effect stay connected, as long as you never see an effect before its cause, the universe allows the order of events to be flexible. You and I can disagree about whether two distant events happened at the same time or which one happened first, and we can both be completely correct. This is not a measurement problem. This is not uncertainty. This is fundamental structure. Reality does not have a single timeline. Reality is a four-dimensional block where the concept of now is just a slice we cut through it, and different observers cut different slices. Now bring this back to your brain. Delay. You experience the present moment roughly 1/10 of a second after it happens. But what does it mean to say it happened 1/10 of a second ago if there is no universal present moment? 1/10 of a second ago, according to whom? According to what reference frame?
If you are moving, your present moment is different from someone who is stationary.
Your past is different. Your future is different. The delay in your perception is not just a delay. It is a shift in your slice through space-time. You are not just seeing the past. You are seeing a different cross-section of reality than someone moving at a different velocity would see. This is where Feynman's work becomes crucial. He developed a mathematical framework for understanding how particles interact across time. The Feynman diagrams that physicists use to calculate quantum interactions show particles moving forward and backward through time, exchanging information, creating effects that seem to precede their causes. And while those diagrams are calculations, they reveal something profound about the nature of time itself. Time is not a river flowing in one direction. Time is a dimension, like space, that we move through. And just like you can face different directions in space, you can face different directions in time, depending on your velocity. When Feynman calculated the behavior of electrons and photons, he had to account for the fact that from certain perspectives, a particle moving forward in time looks identical to its antiparticle moving backward in time. An electron moving from past to future is mathematically equivalent to a positron moving from future to past. This is not speculation. This is how the math works. This is how accurate predictions get made. And it suggests something deeply strange about the nature of causality and time. Your experience of living in the past is not just about signal delay. It is about the fundamental structure of space-time being more flexible than your intuition can handle. You think you live in a single present moment that gradually becomes the past as time flows forward. But actually, you live in a four-dimensional block of space-time where past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. And your consciousness is slowly moving through that block like a reader moving through a book. The pages ahead of you already exist. The pages behind you still exist. The story is not being written as you read it. The story was always there, complete, frozen in the structure of space-time. You are not living in the present moment. You are living in a very thin slice of your own past, experiencing a carefully edited reconstruction of events that already happened, with no access to any universal present moment because no such thing exists. Feynman proved that when you get the physics right, when you calculate how light moves, how signals propagate, how reference frames relate to each other, the conclusion is unavoidable. You have never experienced the present. You have only ever experienced the past. And here is the thing that Feynman found most fascinating about all this. Despite living perpetually in the past, despite the delays, despite the relativity, despite the lack of any universal now, you still manage to function. You still catch baseballs. You still have conversations. You still navigate the world successfully. Your brain compensates. It predicts. It guesses. It fills in gaps. It creates a model of reality that is close enough to the truth that you survive. But it is not the truth. It is never the truth. It is always an approximation based on outdated information. So what do you do with this information? How do you live knowing that you have never experienced the present moment and never will? Feynman had a peculiar answer to this question. He said, it does not matter. Not because the physics is wrong. The physics is absolutely correct. But because your brain is not designed to experience objective reality, your brain is designed to create useful models that help you survive. And the model your brain creates, the illusion of a unified present moment, works. Think about what your brain is actually doing. It is receiving information from multiple senses at different delays. Vision arrives faster than sound. Sound arrives faster than touch. Touch arrives faster than pain. Different parts of your body are different distances from your brain. A signal from your toe takes longer to reach your consciousness than a signal from your finger. And yet when you stub your toe and reach down to grab it, everything feels synchronized. You experience it as one unified event happening now. Your brain is performing incredibly sophisticated temporal integration. It is holding back fast signals and waiting for slow signals to catch up. It is predicting where things will be by the time you become conscious of them. It is editing the timeline to create coherence. You do not experience raw reality. You experience a heavily processed simulation that your brain constructs from fragments of the past. And that simulation is incredibly useful. It allows you to function in a world where true simultaneous awareness is impossible. Feynman pointed out something important about this. He said we should not confuse our perception of time with time itself. Just because you experience a flowing present moment does not mean time actually flows. Just because you feel like you're always in the now does not mean there is a universal now. Your subjective experience and objective reality are completely different things. And physics tells us about objective reality, not about your feelings. Your feelings are evolution's solution to the problem of navigating a relativistic universe with a biological brain that processes information slowly. But here is where it gets philosophically interesting. If you are always experiencing the past, and everyone else is also always experiencing the past, and there is no universal present moment that anyone has access to, then in what sense does the present exist at all? Maybe the present is just a useful fiction, a conceptual tool we use to organize our thoughts. The universe does not care about present versus past versus future. The universe just is. All moments exist simultaneously in the four-dimensional structure of space-time. You moving through time is like reading a book. The whole book exists. All the pages are already written. You experience the pages one at a time in sequence, but that does not mean the pages ahead of you do not exist yet, or that the pages behind you stop existing. The entire story is there, complete, timeless. You are just moving your attention through it. Feynman loved thinking about these implications. He understood that physics reveals a reality far stranger than common sense suggests. Time does not flow. Time does not pass. Time is a dimension you're embedded in, and your consciousness slowly moves through that dimension, experiencing thin slices of a four-dimensional structure that has always existed and will always exist. This leads to uncomfortable questions about free will. If the future already exists in the block of space-time, if all moments are equally real, then is the future already determined? Are your choices already made? Feynman refused to answer these questions definitively because he understood they mix physics with philosophy in ways that are hard to untangle. Physics can tell you that the future exists in the mathematical structure of space-time, but physics cannot tell you whether you have the freedom to choose differently than you actually do choose. The math works either way. What Feynman did emphasize is that living perpetually in the past should change how you think about reality. When you look at the stars, you are seeing ancient light from events that happened thousands or millions of years ago. Those stars might not even exist anymore. You are looking at ghosts, photons carrying information about a past that has moved on. And in a very real sense, that is true of everything you see. Everything you experience is a ghost, a trace, an echo of something that already happened. But you are also a ghost. From the perspective of a photon traveling at the speed of light, time does not pass at all. The photon is created and absorbed in the same instant from its own perspective. From the photon's point of view, you are frozen, static, unchanging. Your entire life from birth to death happens in one simultaneous moment. You think the photon is moving through time, but from its perspective, you are the one frozen in time. Every perspective is equally valid, equally true. There is no privileged reference frame where the real truth lives. Feynman spent his life trying to help people understand this. He wanted people to see that physics reveals a universe far more beautiful and strange than the simple stories we tell ourselves. You are not a person moving through time, experiencing a sequence of present moments. You are a four-dimensional structure extending through space-time, a world line that connects your birth to your death in one unbroken curve through the geometry of reality. Every moment of your life exists simultaneously in the eternal structure of the universe. You do not move. You do not flow. You simply are. And the consciousness you think of as you, the voice in your head that seems to live in an eternal now, is actually a pattern of neural activity that only ever experiences thin slices of your four-dimensional structure. A pattern that moves along your world line like a spotlight moving down a timeline, illuminating one moment at a time, creating the illusion of flow, the illusion of passage, the illusion of now. This is what Feynman proved. Not through one single experiment or equation, but through decades of work building the mathematical framework that accurately describes how light moves, how particles interact, how causality works in a relativistic universe. And when you follow that mathematics to its logical conclusion, you discover something profound. You have never lived in the present. You live in an edited reconstruction of the recent past that your brain presents to you as now. And that now is different for every observer relative to their motion, undefined in any universal sense. You are living in the past right now. You have always been living in the past. You will always be living in the past. And the present moment you think you are trying to catch does not exist. It never existed. It is a beautiful illusion that evolution created to help you survive. Feynman knew this. He proved it mathematically. And once you truly understand it, you can never see reality the same way again. The universe is not what it seems. Time is not what it seems. And you, experiencing this very moment, are not experiencing this moment at all. You are experiencing a carefully constructed memory of a moment that already ended before you even knew it began.